and I think they also found a shirt with what appeared to be blood on it. So they're following that lead. At the moment, though, the Queen's Drive, where the incident took place, is still cordoned. Most of the police officers who were here this morning, to include the commissioner and his deputies, they have left. The Minister of National Security was also here, left. But the investigators from the MID, they're here carrying out more in-depth investigation at the scene. We understand too that there's a car that has some relation with the men who were in the house. Is here and yet to be picked up. There's a police record here waiting to move that. But for the most part, this quiet community, it remains quiet at this time. I spoke with the Mayor Scott this morning, who says he's surprised because nothing really happens here. So he was shocked when he heard the news that 4 police officers were shot. Milton?
Okay, Kirk, what can you tell us in terms of what exactly happened? We understand that the police were on an operation on Queen's Drive in Horizon Park. What do you know about what exactly happened?
Exactly. That's what the commissioner told us this morning in an interview, that they came on an operation. They heard that gunmen were in a house, and they came sometime about 5 o'clock in the morning. He wasn't prepared to say much, but highly placed sources, police sources, told us that the police went there in search, and it appears as if the grill to the premises was locked. But then, when they tried to gain entry, they were fired upon. At this moment, it appears as if it's only one man who challenged them, but we cannot confirm. But based on what we're hearing from police sources, it appears as if one man challenged them, but he had a high-powered weapon and lots of ammunition. Milton?
Kirk, we're told that the police recovered a firearm.
That is true. The commissioner did say this morning that they recovered a firearm, but he did not see it at the time he gave us the interview. So he did say, yes, an M16 was recovered. We heard, too, that the police left M16 on the scene. We're not sure if that is true, and if that M16 was recovered, who it belongs to. But the commissioner did confirm that, yes, they recovered an M16.
And there was another police unit, a car, we're told, which was responding to the unit that was under fire, and there was an accident. Do you know anything more about that incident?
I did ask the commissioner about that too, and that he said he cannot confirm, but we heard that the police unit crash overturned and that 2 jeeps, rollover jeeps as they call it, belonging to the Jamaica Defense Force, also crashed in responding to this morning's incident. But all of that is to be, we saw pictures with the police vehicle on its head, or in its back rather, but I'm not sure if that is related to this scene this morning.
Okay, Kirk, thank you very much. Kirk Wright reporting.
Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson says the officers were responding to a tip regarding armed men at a residence in the community. It's understood that on their arrival, they were greeted with heavy gunfire from men with high-powered rifles. General Anderson responded to a question from TVJ's Kirk Wright about what went wrong on the operation.
What went wrong is that we have people with high-powered weapons and rifles, criminals with them in Jamaica, shooting at people. That's what went wrong.
The police were caught off guard.
They were not caught off guard. There's no indication of that. Whenever we go into an operation, we have to take due care of how we approach things. The people we confront have no such restrictions.
He says this occurrence underscores a major problem in the Jamaican society, that of the prevalence of criminality. It's a point which was also shared by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Jang.
The tragedy should remind the country of the level of evil and criminality that the police face on a daily basis. Unfortunately, many times some of the comments would suggest almost the other way, that the police is either is the bad guy in the scene, but this is what I've come to understand.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he is saddened by this morning's incident. He says the government will provide support to the families and the police high command and will leave no stone unturned in bringing those responsible to justice.
This is a trying time for the JCF. However, I want the committed and hard-working members of the JCF to know that all well-thinking Jamaicans stand with you. Do not be deterred. Even in a time of crisis, the criminals are at work. We must redouble our efforts against the criminal element. They must face justice.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips says the attack on the police demonstrates that there is no longer any respect for law.
It's clear that the crime problem is becoming more and more lethal, deadly, and difficult for the country. And it suggests to me that we need to go beyond the tactics and the strategies of the moment.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Sergeant Petrero, says the act, which was carried out against its members, has not weakened their efforts.
We will be unrelenting in our pursuit to find those persons who are responsible for the shooting death of our colleagues this morning. Certainly, we invite the Jamaican people to come out against the criminals in this country who are putting our colleagues in harm's danger and are making Jamaica an unsafe place for law-abiding citizens.
O'Shea Masters, TVJ News.
And we're staying with this story because there's quite a scene at the Spanish Town Hospital in the old... Thank you, Kelisha Williams reporting live from the Spanish Town Hospital. We take a break now on Midday News. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Continuing the news. The St. Elizabeth Police have arrested and charged 2 men in connection with a spate of robberies in the parish over the last 2 months. The men, whose identities have been withheld pending further investigation, were arrested during an operation on June 4. They were subsequently charged with 2 counts of robbery with aggravation. Commanding officer for the St. Elizabeth Police Division, Deputy Superintendent Narda Sims, told members of the media that one of the men is believed to be the mastermind behind a series of robberies.
Have him scheduled for several ID parades. Because of the course of the investigations and the sensitive nature of it and so forth, we have not yet divulged that information, but in short order, we will make that information available.
Between April and May, St. Elizabeth was rocked by a series of daylight robberies which resulted in several businesses being robbed of approximately $10 million. 26 of the 28 deportees who arrived on the island recently tested negative for COVID-19 and have been released from state quarantine. They were discharged yesterday. The other 2 deportees tested positive and remain in isolation. They were deported from the United States on May 28. The Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, has sought to explain why the government has now decided to test tourists arriving in the island as of Monday. Speaking at a press conference yesterday, Dr. Tufton said the government wants to ensure it has enough information about the people entering the country. Prince Moore reports.
This is the announcement from Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett at a press conference on Thursday.
All visitors and locals alike who are coming in as of the 15th will be tested.
It's a reversal of the previous position that testing for tourists would be voluntary. On Thursday, the parliamentary opposition said it supported the call by the Medical Association of Jamaica, MAJ, for mandatory coronavirus testing for tourists when the country opens to international travelers on Monday. MAJ President Dr. Andrew Manning said arrangements could also be made for source countries to organize testing before the passengers leave. At Thursday's press conference, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton sought to explain the reason for the change in position.
So over the last 2 weeks meaning up to this weekend, we have allowed significantly more Jamaicans to come into the country. And we have tested everybody. And we have tested everyone, and to the extent that we have had the results so far, we have had a 1.6% positive rate. Now, what that says, coming from a jurisdiction that is supposed to be high risk, many of them out of New York and Florida, it says to us that that area at least gives us a risk profile that we can adjust the testing mechanism while we put other contingencies in place to mitigate that relatively limited risk.
He says that the government wants to ensure it understands the risk profile of tourists entering the country, and so gathering information on tourists is important.
And I want to make it clear for those who think that we have been somehow discriminating in support of one over the other, or in support of the tourists over the Jamaican. That no such thing. We just are trying to understand the different populations in protecting our population and, frankly speaking, protecting our economic interests, because tourism is an important economic interest, provides jobs, provides a lot for both the direct involved and those who are indirectly involved.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
A PNP candidate for East Portland, Bishop Dr. Purcell Jackson, is supporting raft captains' claims that they have not received any government assistance since the COVID-19 pandemic. On Wednesday, TVJ News aired a story in which Member of Parliament for West Portland, Darren Vaz, rubbish claims that the raftsmen in the parish have not received COVID relief from the government. But Dr. Jackson insists that no assistance has been provided by the government to the raftsmen since COVID-19.
Whatever Mr. Vaz may have said misrepresented the truth. The truth is they have got no money. What they got was some savings from their own money that were given back to them. So how can it be that you make a promise? These men rely on rafting for a livelihood. And now you're going to go on TV and basically call the men a liar. It seems somebody else is a liar, but it's not these raftsmen, because by my account, they have got nothing at all. This sounds like, to me, political bullyism that has to stop.
In sports, stakeholders of the local horse racing industry are expressing delight at the news that the government is reopening the industry on June 20, as Denise Walters reports. This comes 3 months after a forced lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Behind me are the gates to the Gregory Park entrance of Caymanas Park, soon to be open, with the expectation that maybe fans can be at the track. And the stakeholders and punters are signaling their readiness for the resumption of horse racing come next week.
Now that we have a date, we can fill in all the dates in the condition book. So the condition book will be available to the licensed personnel tomorrow morning. So the new nomination going forward for a Saturday is on a Tuesday. And if we have a race meet on a Sunday, nomination day will be Wednesday.
All stakeholders, grooms, trainers, jockey owners, we are very much well prepared. We were prepared for this weekend, and we have an additional week. So we are very much ready to put on a good show.
We're doing all we need to do to make sure our staff is safe, our testing ban protocols are up to speed, our race day protocols are up to speed, and really adhering to our own recommendations and national guidelines.
Punters say they too have been waiting with bated breath for the sport to resume.
I know a lot of them, and I'm glad that the Caymanas Park is open up. I'm one of the fans.
Well, racing coming back is good for the people who gambles. I like it as a sport to watch, but not to gamble my money. I don't want to lose.
Well, I feel good because racing is my life. You understand? Racing is my life. I'm not racing for my idea. I know I'm a big man. I'm still there. Without racing, I'm miserable.
Meanwhile, Chairman of SVREL Solomon Sharp says once they receive approval for the number of fans to be allowed at the track, an admission fee for pre-sold tickets will be announced.
So right now the Meadowvale gate is where it's used for everyone, and I can safely say that that will be the gate for the horsemen only, and there will be a gate management system that will be set up on the Gregory Park side, and that is where all patrons will enter from.
Acting Senior JRC veterinarian Dr. Sophia Ramlal notes that more patrons could be added after evaluations are done.
That's actually a critical part of the proposal to start with. We want to reassess every day, looking at what went right, what went wrong, seeing how we need to tweak it.
Local racing was suspended on March 21. I am Denise Walters reporting from Caymanas Park for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for Primetime News on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.